Hi, my name is Jennifer Radin, and I'm an epidemiologist with the Translational Institute at Scripps Research, and I'm going to be giving a talk on using wearables to create an early warning system for viral illness detection. To start off with, I'm going to discuss kind of what is normal or healthy. And population averages are typically used to determine what a normal resting heart rate is, which is typically between 60 to 100 beats per minute. Normal sleep level, which is typically 7 to 9 hours of sleep. And there's often cited the target of getting 10,000 steps per day. However, these are all based off of population averages. And what I had noticed wearing my own wearable is that I had a very unique resting heart rate of 60 beats per minute, which didn't fluctuate much from month to month or week to week. But my individual resting heart rate, I noticed, jumped quite a bit when I came down with viral illness. So you can see on the right here, my resting heart rate jumped to about 77 beats per minute, which, while is still within the normal population average of 60 to 100 beats per minute, was elevated for myself. And so this gave me the idea to use wearable device data to see if we could improve our ability to predict viral illness activity in a population. So we were lucky enough to have access to a data set of 200,000 Fitbit users who wore their device pretty consistently for 2 years. And what I did is I looked at everyone's individualized data and found their average or baseline during this study period. And then I identified weeks where they had an elevated resting heart rate and elevated sleep compared to their individual norm. So I was comparing each individual to themselves over time rather than this population normal that has typically been used. And what we found was really interesting, that there's kind of this seasonal change in the proportion of people who had elevated resting heart rate and sleep over time. And we found that this wearable data could significantly improve our ability to predict flu-like illness at the state level. And so this is really exciting because traditional surveillance for viral infections is often delayed by 1 to 3 weeks by the time this data is reported from the states to the CDC. And by the time all this data is aggregated, it's typically several weeks old. And the ability to harness objective wearable data could significantly improve our timeliness of identifying where outbreaks are occurring and give public health officials lead time to respond to them quicker and hopefully help prevent their spread. So when COVID hit, we launched a study called Detect, and Detect is a research app which is entirely remote, and participants can join by downloading an app called My Data Helps, which is available in Google and also Apple. And we're still recruiting participants now, so if you're interested, please check out our website. And this research app allows participants to go through an e-consent process where they join the study. And then they have the ability to share their wearable device data. We're device agnostic, so we can pull in Fitbit data, Apple data, Garmin data, any number of different wearable devices. And we also include different self-reported symptoms and test result data. And we also have the unique ability to collect electronic health record data as well to link wearable data to different health outcomes. And so the goal of this study is kind of to prospectively confirm some of our previous findings that I just presented, looking at flu-like illness, and to better understand kind of the individualized changes that result when someone comes down with a viral illness. And also to see if we can create this viral illness surveillance platform to improve our ability to track outbreaks like COVID and be able to identify and zoom in on locations that have higher viral activity levels. So currently, Detect, we have enrolled over 37,000 participants from all over the country. You can see there's higher participant levels in California. We've done a lot of different outreach in San Diego and California. And we have about 8,000 people who've reported being sick, have different symptoms, and over 300 people have reported PCR COVID positive test results. So we have published some initial results from this study, and what we found was that if you add wearable data and combine it with self-reported symptom data, that you can significantly improve the ability to distinguish which individuals have COVID versus which individuals do not have COVID. And so this is really exciting because traditional screening for COVID is very inadequate. Typically relies on taking someone's temperature and asking if they are currently experiencing any symptoms. And unfortunately, COVID still transmits during the pre-symptomatic phase, and many individuals actually don't go on to develop a fever. So this screening methods that we traditionally rely on really misses many potential cases. So combining the wearable data that people are continuously collecting through these fitness trackers can give us potentially a much better way to identify which individuals should stay at home or get tested if they are feeling sick. And so our results, looking at this wearable data and wearable changes that are associated with viral illnesses, have actually been replicated now by a number of different studies. And these studies have looked at changes during the pre-symptomatic period, also different changes with other metrics such as temperature and respiration rate. And there's also a number of different studies looking at population level changes as well. And this again just confirms that wearable data really can be a useful tool to help identify and track viral illness infection. And so this is really just the beginning for DETECT. We have many different sub-studies which we're hoping to better understand with this data set. And one is we're hoping to see if we can predict someone's severity, that they will whether they will ultimately need to be hospitalized, whether they just are going to have a mild infection, and seeing if we can see different markers that can predict this trajectory. Another thing we hope to see if we can better understand both pre-symptomatic and asymptomatic wearable device changes, and also to see if we can better understand long COVID syndrome. So being able to track people continuously from their home using fitness trackers and different sensors can really hopefully better quantify the impact of COVID on the long term and see potentially which predictors may indicate someone's likely to develop long COVID syndrome. We're also hoping to see if we can better understand vaccine response with wearable devices. So there's been a lot of reports of kind of severe or reactions to the second vaccine dose, and better understanding which populations are more likely to feel sick or have a severe response to the vaccine is also something that we can potentially do with sensors. And finally, as I started off with, we hope that this DETECT study will also help us create a viral illness surveillance platform where we can better prospectively identify viral illness outbreaks in real time. And so there's been many different novel surveillance streams that have been used to try to track viral illness activity in a population, such as Google flu trends and Twitter and rapid test results. And all these data points, if you combine them together, really creates a better picture of what's happening in real time. And so wearable devices are also really unique because they can track someone continuously from when they're healthy, get their really unique baseline, then identify when they start to get sick, potentially even in the pre-symptomatic infection period, all the way through when they recover or potentially decompensate. And so wearable data streams really give us a longer longitudinal picture for what is happening. but again, combining all these data streams together will really give us and public health officials a better picture of what's happening so that we can hopefully identify the next pandemic before it becomes such a huge problem. And so the DETECT team, it's really been possible due to an amazing group of people who have pivoted and worked from or pulled into this project for many other different projects at Scripps. And as my colleague at colleague Danny Oren wrote in the World Economic Forum, we've learned a lot through this process, and it's been an exciting team. And if you're, again, interested in joining our study, please check out detectstudy.org. Thank you very much.